In this particular live session, I want to share with us the time technology as superhuman virtue. Now, time technology is so superb to the extent that it, gives us that conscious feeling. When we have that trajectory beyond the constraint of time limit, that is when we become conscious. The power of I theta, we have it to be combination of cosine theta and I sine theta. So if we extract that in wave pattern, we're going to have the central point where the real energy suspension is, and you can see it's at 32nd position. And so when we manually annihilate that, we're going to get to the quantum level. And so the result we have is actually beyond the constraint of, light speed. We have it to be right inside the nucleus. Then inside that nucleus, we have this, equilateral triangle being compacted in order for us to have, acceleration, to have an sensation of electron, the real electron. We need to travel beyond the limit of that substrate dimension to a higher dimension by that virtue of accelerated momentum in the nucleus, which we actually, shrink the slice of time to align with the curvature of energy. And once we have that, we're going to have this standing wave that gets projected into the higher dimension, and that we actually retract that positron from higher dimension into the substrate dimension to complete, the whole circle of the wave. You understand? So now the power, the outstanding power of time technology, is to have that complete circle of the wave pattern. But basically, if we should do that, that is, synonymous to the learning equation of AI. But what we want to do here is that we want to, stop that trajectory of time to where we get the positron to instantiate the real electron. This present phase, I want you to look down where we have this curvature of energy wave to time wave. You understand? So we want to just stop it at this event horizon trajectory. And once we are able to do that, then we can have what I have up here, which is the analog information space structure, which is flexible. So then we're going to have instantiation of electron to be 1. That is, if we have the equilateral triangle being flipped as what we have in the middle up here. So the real number is what we will compute, but imaginary number too must as well be instantiated. And that is the nature of relativity, because a point without an inversely related point can't define any point without any associated inverse copy of it. What do I mean by that? Like, if you have a point, you can't say this is just an initial point or the end point. It has no definition. But if you have the inverse of that point relative to that point, then you can say this is the initial point and this is, the subsequent point. So definitely the value, the worth of our information system must be dependent on relativity. So we must really have that instantiation. It shouldn't be that we map 0 and 1 onto electric signal as we, have it in conventional information structure of computation. You understand? So basically, by having this, we can have a kind of computer that will solve that inherent noise of quantum entanglement. And that kind of computer is so powerful because it actually models the learning, learning system of the universe. So, like I said in the science of consciousness, once we have that trajectory into the black hole, we're going to have the subjective experience. So we're going to have subjective consciousness, and that way, the intersection of time trajectory, which is horizontal. So now, the conscious feeling that we have, we usually have, objective. You thought Earth was flat. As you move away from the Earth, then you then see the reality of the Earth, that it is not flat. But at the distance where you had to the Earth to get that reality, that distance will actually deny you the reality of, people on Earth. So you see the overall reality, but you are delusional of, the subcomponent reality, or probably, let me say, the substrate reality. You understand? But then when we get into the black hole, right towards the causing of electron, but we can't call it electron because the base value of electron is being so decayed to 1.1109. So we have that suspension, which means that we have introduction of neutron. Then we have recontact, where we have this intersection. It's going to be at the exact central point of the intersection of this vertical line and the horizontal dash line. So now, so that is it. That is that. Before we can actually have a complete reality, the external information that we get from the higher dimension, which is at complex level, must be internalized into the substrate dimension, and then there will be mixture of, reality to noise. You understand? Before we can actually have it as our personal reality at that intersection point. So the power is so superb. The power of time technology is so superb. In fact, it is so powerful that it can give us, it can quickly accelerate AI to artificial super intelligence. You understand? It can quickly do that, because once you understand the width, before we could really have the approximation towards reality in artificial intelligence, we must have this back propagation that we actually narrow the gap, the error gap from the real to arbitrary results. So we have right in between the real and arbitrary results, we have that, close approximation to truth. So that is how AI works. But basically, I want us to develop this time technology so that the time technology could serve as a complementary virtue for AI, in the sense that AI will, boost GDP. So it will boost the supply part of market. So once we have this time technology, the time technology will boost the demand part of market, and with that we can, have a viable economy. So that is that. So now I want Ko-fi page. When you look under Ko-fi, which is ko-fi.com/Shota de Olusegun, you can click on that link to get to my Ko-fi page. There I have, community tiers that you can actually subscribe to. I will be rolling out many videos on how to get novel research coaching and how you can actually how you can accumulate wealth. So it's really going to be so eyes opening. You understand? It's going to be eye opening experience. And then you can as well support my advanced research on time travel. So when you look up here, you see advanced research. You see there I have 1% of goal. People have been supporting this goal. They have been contributing, donating towards the goal. So I want you to as well support me so that I can, increase my research endeavors and my research collaborations. So thank you so much. Time technology is so powerful. We need to actually limit the way its computations are done, because it is so powerful than what we can imagine. And the reason is because it models the reality of the universe. So thank you. God bless you.